Russia has invaded Ukraine, with air raid sirens a regular occurrence in the capital Kyiv. Last week, the south of England was hit by the worst storm that the UK has experienced in over 30 years. A lack of sales during COVID and a rise in rent means that the high street has experienced problems with empty storefronts. War has erupted in Eastern Europe, with Vladimir Putin ordering an invasion of Ukraine from Belarus, Luhansk and Donetsk regions in a prolonged attack. Thousands of civilians have been forced to travel the long journey to Poland's border. Alistair English has more on the story.
3, 2, 1, pause.
The clock has struck 12 on the countdown to war. It is now the 6th day of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, and thousands of civilians have been displaced through missiles targeting major cities.
When this started, people in Kiev and other cities were woken up in the early hours of the morning by the sound of explosions. And we saw very quickly people scrambling to get out of the city, or others trying to get to shelter. Clearly, any pretense that this wasn't going to be a major assault was just evaporated instantly when the first missiles started.
Boris Johnson has sent his thoughts and prayers to Ukrainian citizens.
And I say to the Ukrainians in this moment of agony, we are with you. We're praying for you and your families, and we are on your side.
Frankly, it's quite embarrassing at the moment, the position the UK government has adopted. The statement from Boris Johnson was essentially an affirmation of what the law already allows in terms of Ukrainian nationals being able to have their immediate family come and join them in the United Kingdom. What the UK government needs to do is get on board with what the European neighbours are doing and announce an open and generous resettlement scheme for Ukrainian refugees.
It's not just Boris Johnson who's standing with the Ukrainians. Winchester City councillors are also calling for peace, with a vigil held here at the Abbey Gardens at 6 p.m. tonight. Peace talks have begun on the Belarusian-Ukrainian border. However, there is still lots of uncertainty of how this conflict will move and whether it will escalate. Alistair English, Winchester News Online.
Storm Eunice has left its mark on the UK. Grace Benson has more on how much damage was caused.
On Friday, the UK was hit with what is now being described as the worst winds in 30 years. The arrival of Storm Eunice saw the Met Office give parts of Hampshire a red weather warning, meaning the storm was classified as a threat to life. Damage to forestry meant that tree surgery companies in the local area were being forced to leave their routine jobs for emergency work.
A lot of them have been sort of trees through fences, through hanging up. The odd one or two have been on top of houses, which unfortunately a lot of people have had severe damage to their houses. They've probably had to relocate while their houses are being redone. You can have your trees checked beforehand, so you can see that they're structurally sound, but at the end of the day the winds that came through were abnormal, so even a lot of healthy trees were uprooted, but I'd say 75% of the trees that had come down could have been prevented just by having a standard sort of tree inspection.
Thanks to Eunice's 120 mph winds, it's not only gardens, roads and woodlands that have seen disruption. South Western Railway had to make the difficult decision to cancel all trains from London Waterloo on Friday night due to debris on the tracks.
For the entire day, the entire running of the network of our route anyway was based around how we can deal with Storm Eunice. So we had 10 extra crews brought in just to go out and cut down trees and move trees off the track. There are small little chains and small personally run shops in Clapham Junction and places like that, which all had to close. So they lose their livelihood for the day. It's been rough at the moment anyway with COVID, and they're just opening up and they're just getting more foot traffic. And then all of a sudden we've had to say, no, you can't come in today.
With clean-up operations still underway and Storm Francis imminent, it looks as though we'll be seeing the mark of this storm for quite some time. Grace Benson, Winchester News Online.
The shops in Winchester High Street have faced many obstacles in the last couple of years, resulting in some empty storefronts. We sent our reporter, Charlie Swadling, to find out more on the story.
The High Street in Winchester has had to face some obstacles in recent years. The main ones including rise in rent for stores and also the COVID impact. As of the beginning of February this year, there are 22 vacant stores across the high street. Many were large businesses. However, the high street seems to be on the mend.
So it has been hugely difficult, huge challenges, but we are starting to see some positive changes now, and Winchester is starting to bounce back, but it's still a tough time for it. At the moment, our vacancy rate is starting to come down, which is really, really good news. So the National High Street vacancy rate at the moment is about 14.5%. Winchester is 9%, and that's down from 11% a year ago. So we're already starting to see some positive changes.
So there's always going to be change. And what we need to do is to help people make that change, help independent businesses in particular, so that the city continues to thrive. We're making sure the high street looks attractive. We do what we can to keep it clean, and we run events to try and bring people in. We work very closely with the cathedral at Christmas to make sure that we had a very strong Christmas period, and with bus companies and all kinds of people. We were working together to bring people into our city.
Organisations such as Winchester Bid and the council have worked hard to keep the town running. However, there are still vacant shops to be filled. Charlie Swadling, Winchester News Online.
From shops on the high street to a village charity shop that is raising money for renovations, disability charity Enham Trust has started the first phase of its refurbishments. Nyanya McGee reports.
It's been at the heart of this Hampshire village for over 100 years. Now it's fighting for the years to come. Enham Trust charity launched its centenary appeal last year, marking 100 years of providing vital care and support to those with both physical and learning disabilities.
The charity set a goal of £280,000 to be raised through donations, fundraising challenges and applications. A £25,000 grant from Test Valley Borough Council means they're well on their way to meeting their goal, and the refurbishments to the charity shop can now take place.
The building needed some serious improvements to provide full accessibility for the shop's customers, staff and volunteers. The upcoming works will include internal structural changes to provide much needed space.
So we're increasing our retail space to improve the shopping experience, making more donated items be for sale. We'll be widening doorways to make it more accessible for our wheelchair users, creating a lot more space that everybody can manoeuvre around the shop, which will have a huge impact on our staff and volunteers with accessibility and independence within our store.
The changes will be huge, not just for customers, but also for staff and volunteers. Paula, who's been volunteering at the shop for almost 30 years, told me what she's most looking forward to once the renovations are complete.
Everything could be wider, so I'll be able to go into each area where I can't at the moment. Yeah, it'd be more freedom to move around. They might encourage more people to work in wheelchairs down here when it's all done.
Fundraising and donations are still being welcomed by the charity to ensure they reach their fundraising goal and the next phase of renovations can begin. Nyanya McGee, Winchester News Online.
There has been a rise in electric cars in the UK these last 5 years. It has been very beneficial for Winchester economically and environmentally. Dorian Pavereau has the latest.
A new electric charging port has recently been installed at the Rose Lane car park, one of the many new places in Winchester where an electric vehicle can be recharged. Along with these new charging points, the appearance of electric vehicles in the UK has risen in the last 5 years. In 2017, only 15,500 electric cars were newly registered, whereas in 2021 the data shows that almost 200,000 registered cars were added, a significant rise that can be observed in Winchester.
The sort of key things about cutting carbon is to reduce the amount of fossil fuel cars coming into Winchester, because we know that it's one of the major contributors to carbon. So within that was our pledge to increase EVs and to have more EV chargers. So as Winchester, we made a promise to get 34 chargers in. In fact, we've actually got 37.
There are many more electric vehicles in Winchester than ever before, and with these modern advances come huge benefits for the local environment and the local economy.
There are so many benefits that we are not putting out hydrocarbons into the environment, but we also have to be aware of the cost of the lithium batteries in the environment. So I think there are two sides to it, but from a local air quality position, it's definitely an advantage to have an electric car. We don't have to pay road tax, so that's the incentive from the government's point of view, that you don't pay road tax. And also your insurance is generally quite cheap. There are very few working parts in a car like this, so your insurance is relatively cheap.
Good news for the climate and for people's finance. The rise in electric cars is beneficial all around. Dorian Poverall, Winchester News Online.
Sticking with transport, Dorian looks at a new staircase being built at the Winchester train station, making safer for travellers to leave the station.
A new staircase is being built at the Winchester train station's Stockbridge Road exit, a high-traffic area for commuters and Peter Simons College students. The safety of crossing Stockbridge Road after exiting the station has been a concern for many years. Now, with the new staircase being built, train users won't have to cross the dangerous road anymore.
I'm really delighted that this project is now taking place. It's been 5-6 years in the making now, and it will really help improve safety, particularly for the hundreds of Peter Simons students who use the train station every morning. They come down, they have to normally cross over the busy Stockbridge Road at a time when it's rush hour, and there have been a number of near misses.
This task is very expensive. South Western Railway, the original requesters of the staircase, are paying £450,000 out of the £600,000 needed for the construction.
Hopefully, train users will feel safer exiting the station now. Dorian Poverall, Winchester News Online.
A dispute over a beloved recreational centre has sparked outrage across the community, and our reporter, Poppy Munro-Scott, investigated what the commotion was about.
Winchester City Council's plans to enter into a lease agreement with the University of Southampton has been put on pause, following a legal challenge from the Friends of the River Park about a lack of public consultation.
So we will be taking a proper relook at the decision. We still think that the university proposal is a very good one for the city.
They're losing such a useful building, especially for people with disabilities as well.
I think Winchester Park needs to say for the residents and their recreation, and university buildings are enough at the moment. There's still a lot of space behind that university where they could build.
Also had a massive amount of support. So while there are some people who are against the transfer to the University of Southampton, we've also had a lot of really positive comments.
The park plan available on the council's website outlines the future plans and improvements to the park, with the council waiting for the final outcome in March. I'm Poppy Munro-Scott for Winchester News Online.
And finally, we got an inside look at the final chance for karters to get their eye in before shifting gears into a new season of competition. Tom Hooker went to see the action.
Forest Edge Kart Club got the green flag for their pre-season test, for many drivers to get their first taste of karting this year. The day saw a range of machinery take to the track, and drivers with varying levels of experience.
I think everyone seems super supportive. Whenever I come to a practice day, everyone's so chatty and they're always willing to help out. I really want to gain the experience at the moment.
I want to be an F1 driver and then try and win a championship and stuff and be like Lewis Hamilton. Some lines I'm not very good at the minute, but I'm learning them and I'm getting faster. I'd like to do like Formula 3 and start winning.
All 9 rounds of the club's championship will be at the circuit in Hampshire, a tricky low-speed technical track that punishes the drivers if they don't nail its hotspots.
One of the hardest corners on the track is Haynes Loop. It's a very long corner. On the entry to it, you've got to make sure you're far over to the left so you can carry the maximum speed through the corner. Take a late apex and make sure you don't overcompromise yourself too much. Make sure you're on the right so you can get the maximum speed into Johnny's, a fast left-hand corner coming up. So after negotiating Johnny's, you then come to Winger's Dip. This is actually one of the most technical corners on the track. After speaking to a couple of karters, there's actually not a lot of grip when you first approach the corner, and then the kart then turns the grip up. Okay, so gone to the back straight here, the karts will be flying past, and the gearbox karts will be doing up to 120 miles an hour here, which is crazy when you think they're about this high off the ground. The smaller karts though that are going on at the moment, they'll be tackling the bus stop chicane. And this is a corner that's a tricky compound corner. You don't want to get too greedy on that first apex.
Then it's on to the fast right-handers of midgets and climate before the tight hairpin of Tollies to finish the lap.
So a chance for karters young and old to get their wheels in motion as the season kicks off on the 6th of March with the first round of the Forest Edge Kart Club Championships. Tom Hooker, Winchester News Online.
That's all we've got time for. Thank you for watching and see you next week.